Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody. Let me just write here. Welcome everybody to the node.js security working group meeting, the first one of February. So before I start, does anybody have any announcement? I don't think so, right? We're good to go. We were supposed to discuss an issue, the issue 856, discussion about policy integrity integration on Windows, but Robert Wade is not around, and we are supposed to discuss it with him, so we are postponing it to the next meeting, if it's good for everybody. By the way, it didn't appear in the okay. Yes, it appears. Okay, as usual, we go straight to the vulnerability review, the issue I passed in the chat. So feel free to take a look. However, I don't think we have something
There's nothing new as far as I know.
Actually,
go ahead.
Yeah, there's one thing that appeared in the Node.js core Slack, that is the potential malware in the V8 package, but looks like NPM already removed it from the registry. However, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect Node.js, but I feel that it can be something that people will talk about in the coming weeks. So we probably.
Sorry, you said the V8 package?
Yes, I'm sending the chat. This is the advisory. Basically, looks like I was looking to the V8 package in the npm. It was removed, so maybe they are aware of it, and they are I don't know, probably publishing something pretty soon about that, and we just need to retweet, but just want to make sure that it is
what was it? Because it's not something like, it's not anything that's in Node itself.
Sorry,
I don't think that's anything that's in Node, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, the name of the package is V8. When you do require V8, and well, for some reason, it can require the Node module package, and it can be an attack, right? If I remember correctly.
Sure, but I don't think that, I mean, that could happen with any package. I'm just trying to understand the relation to Node's, like, it's not a dependency of Node.
Yeah, it is not.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to confirm. Like, because this repo, we look at the dependencies, that one isn't a dependency, so it's just.
Yeah, I just finding a private issue, so we are discussing it internally as well. But yeah, just maybe waiting for a potential confirmation, because I mean, even if it doesn't affect Node.js, I'm pretty sure a lot of packages in the ecosystem uses it. So I don't know, maybe it's worth it to mention at least if that's a real vulnerability or not, even not related to Node.js itself.
But did it even relate to V8, the engine, in any way? Like, why do you think a bunch of people used it?
Because well, when you require you can usually require V8 to perform some profiling and garbage collector diagnostics, right? This is an internal package, a Node.js package.
Right. Okay. So now, right. So okay. So what you're saying is it conflicts with one of our packages.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. That part I get. Not a dependency, but it is
something that might be
overlaps, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Just as I like mentioned on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Next one, going directly to our agenda, is automate security release process. I don't have any update on that. Okay. We are currently handling a lot of things on private, so I have no time. I didn't have time to work on that. So the next one is the issue 859, is the assessment against best practice. same as 851. Like the 851 is just a subset of the 859. And well, Gabriela has a pull request open. Basically, we are discussing there to pin the actions by commit hash. So far, it is only in the coverage Linux, but I'm pretty sure once it gets accepted and merged, it will be in the entire node.js action. I think the only remaining thing is to activate the dependabot, right? And fix the lint, because currently it is not allowing to comment the version right after the commit hash, but that shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, I think that's one part of the thing is that one, I guess best practices. I think that is correct. The other thing we should move forward on that particular task was like, how do we actually turn on the scorecard itself, right? Like that, what you just mentioned was fixing one of the things the scorecard might report, but like we mentioned the TSC, nobody had any concerns. It was mentioned like nobody's shown any concern in the issue. So what's not 100% clear to me is like, how do we turn on the scorecard? Do we just ask in that issue and she'll go ahead and turn it on for us? Or is it something we need to configure in the repo itself?
Yeah, you need to add another GitHub action to enable it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was about to say that based on the previous discussion, I start to use this on my own projects and so on. So I actually have there is a really cool integration with GitHub itself. If you have this security reporting tab enabled and so on. Well, if you want, I can show you. And it already, well, let me see if I can share it. It's going to be easier visually.
Do you want to show your internal private? Isn't that usually confidential info?
Not because actually I'm patching that and I'm using it. Well, I want to show you just the recommendations of the.
Sure. Okay. I'm just saying it might, like, I could see it showing some private stuff, but as long as you're comfortable, that's
I'm comfortable. Don't worry. Let me see. Sharing my screen. Yeah, just pick the right one. Okay, desktop one. I think. Yeah, all you can see GitHub Systemic Connects, right?
Okay.
Right? Okay, yeah, so I added this workflow, if I remember well, regarding the scorecard. So just following the instructions they have. It's actually a copy-paste from the recommendation they have. So it's doing some, I think every time that I do a push to main, and then also we have some kind of a cron job. So basically it's checking now. If you go to the security side of what you have enabled and so on, in terms of that, in the section of the code scanning, if you have it enabled, you have all the recommendation from the scorecard, like all the things that we discussed before, like token permission level of the GitHub actions or branch protection if you don't have the branch protection at that moment and so on. And the cool thing of that is, for example, if you jump to the branch protection, you can see all the details here normally, and you can create an issue. So basically, it's going to show you all the information included on that, if I remember well. So it's like giving you all the context, and you can see all the rules and so on, and how to apply. Well, maybe this is not the best one for in terms of context, but others, they have really good information. So if you go to token permission, for example, normally you have like a lot of information, context, documentation, explanations, and so on. So that was surprisingly easy.
To like for instance, the branch protection, I'm pretty sure it will show as a problem in Node.js, but that's our current workflow. And can we close it as non-applicable or something just to increase our scorecard?
We can test. As far as I understood from the last call, I think they understood our workaround solution. So potentially we are not affected on the scorecard for that. I'm not very sure. Maybe we can ask them if they can make an exception for Node, because it's a huge project. But yeah, I don't know. I can try myself in one of the projects that I maintain and see if it brings a.
I think you can't disable something with a scorecard. It just gave you a negative score, or zero score, or something like this.
Yeah.
I think once we turn it on, we can look at the things like that and then have the discussion with them, like maybe open an issue in their repo that says, we're getting this. This isn't an issue for us,
Okay. And
we don't think it is, right?
How I don't know. Basically, you need to enable it in the security tab, right? We can do it now, for instance.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I think there is like kind of this, normally you have this kind of setup codes. There is one place where you can do like set up additional GitHub actions related to security. So they propose you like a lot of third-party vendors and so on, like Sneak and things like that. And they have one for the scorecard.
So is it a PR? Like, do we have to PR that in, or is that something we can?
I think it's a PR. I mean, yeah, I think they have like this kind of graphic user interface workaround. So it generates you at the end this kind of workflow. So you basically end up having this generated. I think also you can just copy the sample they offer or this one and just paste it and see.
The line is line 40, right? OSSF scorecard action.
Yeah.
That's where like I was thinking like, Ulysses, do you want to submit a PR to turn this on to Node, or is it something that one of us who has access to the config needs to go and do? What's the way that we actually turn it on?
I think it's 2 steps, right? First, we need to enable it in the security tab, code scanning. I think only us can do it. And then someone can open up a request to make it work.
Yeah.
But is the code scanning required, or is the code scanning something it's going to report if we don't have it on?
That's a tricky thing. I can try to enable this I have to do it for other projects in my organization, so I can record how I do it for one of them, and we can just discuss later on if we need one step or two, if you want, and I can post that on the Slack channel.
Right, because I'd almost rather like turn it on, see what it reports, and then we can say the scorecard reports this.
Yeah,
it recommends we turn on blah, and then we can actually have the discussion in the community that says, hey, the OSSF scorecard suggested we turn this on. Should we turn it on, right? Rather than trying to do it the other way around.
Also, when you enable the action, you have somewhere, I think, it is an option to publish the result on the REST API. So you can show, I don't remember. I think there's somewhere at the end, you can enable or disable publishing to their REST API.
Yeah. Yeah, at least something that I like here, and I didn't like in the Pentabot at the beginning, was the amount of issues that it's generating with changes, over the time, or pull requests that become super annoying. Well, so I think in the same way as the Pentabot, you can control it, saying like, just, bring those things on the security tab that just write access people can see. So later on you decide when to tackle.
Right.
Maybe we can enable it first on Unity, which is a fairly small project, and make it happen. And then based on that, we enable it on Node.js, because I'm reading here, and it looks like when appears some issue or some problem, they open issue or pull request, and I really don't want they to open a lot of issues on pull request and making a really noise,
I think maybe we can even try it with the security working group repository. I think all of us, we have access. There is some code, there is some packaging and so on there. I think the robot is smart enough to recognize that as a package, and will trigger some of these, I think, and we can do it as a controlled MVP, so that way we don't annoy a lot of people, I think.
Right.
Yeah, because what's scary of this is start to, to generating thousands of issues pull requests, and everybody get mad about it. So, yeah.
Honestly, I think we would want to turn on the scorecard so that it just gives us the score, not creating PRs at all.
Yeah, but when we enable the code scanning, looks like it can and will create issues.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. We don't need to turn on code scanning. Like, let's leave that.
So
as a
they score.
separate
I
thing.
think they score. The scorecard won't work, I guess, if we don't enable the code scanning. Is that correct, Ulysses or Thomas?
That's a good question. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I have some project where I set up, but I don't think I have. I don't have code QL analysis, I think. So I think it works well just with the scorecard, but I need to check.
So is it,
Okay.
I was thinking that either like Ulysses or and I think, sorry, is it Gentilum or Thomas?
Thomas.
Thomas. Okay. Yeah. I was just backwards. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this wrong. So okay. It's Thomas.
Yeah,
like, I think it would be good if, and I think you've both been looking at it, but like we should identify somebody who's going to say like, hey, I'm going to understand how to turn it on. And if there's a PR to be submitted, you can submit that PR. And like, if you can confirm, like the only thing it's going to do is give us the scorecard. It's like, let's turn on the minimal thing to start. Right. And then if it tells us, here's some things, then we can look at each of those individual things would probably be the safest.
yeah,
I like the idea of turning it on, like on the security on some other repo, like, you know, the suggestion of Indici is maybe a good one, but so I don't know, Ulysses or Thomas, who wants to volunteer? Do you want to work together to basically take the action?
Yeah. I will create a pull request.
Okay.
So just to align, so based in today's discussion, the next step would be enable code scanning on an MVP. Actually, this is optional, like we don't need to do it right now, but we need to create a workflow to use OSSF scorecard action, either in Unity or security working group before moving it to the node.js itself. And we evaluate the score in the next meeting or asynchronous in the issue. So how does it sound to you?
Sounds super good.
Sounds good. Okay, I will paste in the issue in the OSS scorecard issue 851.
And our understanding is like turning on the scorecard should give us nothing except for a scorecard we can look at. So no other issues or anything, hopefully. Okay,
I remember that the Google team showed some the scorecard enabled for Node.js already, right? They pasted it in the previous minutes, and well.
No, but I think it's just because sometimes they run the scorecard on popular project and they just store the result, so it just it. This is just because they are scanning popular project time to time to get some scores.
It's like the project is like a cron job or something, right?
Yeah, they scan tons of projects, and it's like, you know, the old days of DBTM when you have these shields for your README and so on. So you have the badges. So it's the same. They scan a lot of projects because I found projects where I have just one star there. So yeah. I think they have it and they have the score and so on, but they do that on cron job. So also, if you publish a new release, they have some warnings like new score will be available in soon. You know, like in the next cron job kind of thing.
I see. Okay, so it mentions setup code scanning, but like in the scorecard, like in the security page, but it's like it's not turn on the existing code scanning. It's turning on. It says like add new ones, which would be scorecards.
Yep.
But I think so. Yeah. So like if that's something that you know, you need somebody with privileges to turn on, let one of us know and we can help. But I think it does look like it just creates an action which you could probably figure out and PR in anyway, right?
Yeah, it do almost all the work for you. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we lost Rafael potentially, or is me?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm still here too. So yeah.
Do you hear me?
Now, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Where I stopped? from the start.
At the beginning, almost there.
Yeah. Okay. I can tweet my internet if needed, but okay. I forgot. Wait.
Yeah, there's a whole section on manual setup. So yeah, I think you should be able to put together a workflow.
Okay. Yes, I'm just wondering, maybe does it generate a graph? Like actually, at least, because we might want to have a big picture of the entire Node.js organization. So I want to see the Unity, I want to see the scorecard for Node.js or for security working group and so on. I think we can do it, right?
I don't know. I think I think it's like on a per repo basis is what they said.
Yep.
Yeah, but the results can be collected somewhere, right?
Yeah, they have an API. I offer myself to that because I have to do it for my organization to collect all the repos, the results and see how far we are. So
yeah,
I can share that script. Okay.
Yeah, you can just do the research because we still need to enable. But yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd definitely be good.
Okay. The next issue is okay. The policy integrity we already talking about. The scorecard is the same one, so we can just move it to the same place. Let me move it. And then we have the automated update of all dependencies. This is a remaining thing. Unfortunately, I don't think Facundo will join us again as part of his work at Trail of Bits. So we might need someone else to champion it. Well, I'm trying to get some volunteers or at least a few folks from Nearform to join to the meetings and maybe start participating. I have also some comments on some conversations internally on Twitter. So maybe it might be we get someone else to help. Unfortunately, I can't handle it right now because there are a lot of things happening. But well, that's an open thing. We still need to figure out who can help. And yes, also I would like just to bring it again. If you have any idea of someone that would like to join to the working group, that would be awesome. We are trying to make this environment a bit more sustainable. We know that this is hard, but I think that this is something that we really want to do. Make it make the audience grows and or something like that, you know, like more people engaged and helping and make the ecosystem better. And that's now it's the good place, a good moment to get new members, because we are in the start of initiatives, so they can get all the context. So yeah, pretty much it.
In terms of that list, I know there was a PR for OpenSSL.
There's a pull request for OpenSSL. Let me open it.
We haven't quite landed that one. Okay, I was just looking if there's more things on the list we could check off, but
yeah, let me check it here. Is it the pull request? Let me find it. Okay, it's the pull request 456005. Let me send you the chat. Okay, this. Actually, I have approved it right? Okay.
Yeah, I think
maybe
you did. So
no, actually, I have. There's a pending thing is that this will update OpenSSL only on main. We don't have action to update it backwards. Like we might want to update it for 14, 16, and 18, and 19 eventually.
Right.
So
this would be a start, though, right?
The problem with merging it is that we'll feel like as a concluded, but it is not definitely concluded. We still need manual work to make OpenSSL update. Because this is different from other libraries, because we have different versions of OpenSSL in different release. So we need an action for different versions. For instance, in 14 we have OpenSSL 1.1, and in the 16 we have 1.1 over quick, and in the 18 is 3 over a quake and so on, you know? So,
right. But I just wonder, like, are we going to end up with, does it need to be one action that does all of those, or is it that we could have multiple actions that do the different ones? I don't know, how much are they going to share? Like, maybe it's just
the problem is that as said by Richard in the thread, the bot will not currently we don't have support for opening pull requests or branches or issues for non-default branches. The default branch is main, but schedule workflows runs only on the latest commit on the full base branch. So one thing that might work is, instead of scheduled workflows or workflows based on some triggers, we use the workflow dispatch trigger. So we basically, when we receive a new update from OpenSSL, we click in the button and that it will generate some actions. I think that might work, but we still need to check.
right. I guess I'm still trying to get why having it do it for main doesn't help, even if we have to do the other ones.
Well, I mean, it might help, but honestly, it is still a missing thing, right?
Right. I'm just worrying that, like, we could let this stay forever, eventually get stale, and we'll just close it. If we actually turn it on, maybe, like, unless you think you're gonna have time, or we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
think
time to
this
get
one
to
I
it soon.
can work on that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're gonna prioritize working on it, then never mind. I'm happy to just wait. But I just was worried, like, if it was gonna just hang out there forever.
No,
That's not
it won't.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So let me just put it on my list again because I forgot. Okay, so yeah, basically I will try to move it instead of schedule workflows to workflow dispatch. Might work. Let's see. And well, permission model, the next issue 791. I honestly had no time to work on that previously, and I got access to the Windows machine, so I can work on a specific Windows bug on that request. So I might maybe I will start working on that today, between today and tomorrow. There are 3 remaining things. If I remember correctly, I need to add support to native add-ons. I need to fix the Windows bug, and I need to handle symlinks. The symlinks will be hard. Just to bring some information is that basically the current pull request doesn't work well. Actually, not doesn't work, but it's designed by default that if you create a symlink before, it can bypass the permission model. For instance, I'm blocking access to the entire home folder, but before running the node.js, there is a symlink there pointed to another folder. So whenever I write to that file, it will goes already to the symlink in the home folder. I'm not checking that because for performance reasons. Right now, whenever you try to write in a file, we don't have a flag to say, okay, this is a symlink or this is not a symlink. So I will need to include a check whenever we try to read or write a file to check if that's a symlink. In case that's a symlink, I need to get the absolute path and check if that's allowed or not. I think that will increase the overhead a lot, honestly. So I'm trying to figure out the best approach, but I don't find one. Well, that's it. Yes, FS real path. The problem is that we check it on the C++ side, and we can't use the libuv real path because these
you can't use the bindings. Yeah, because it's in C. Is that what you're saying? It's happening beforehand. You can't use FS real path, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't basically handle all the real path things in the C++ because we don't have the fs.resolve on C++. We basically need to rewrite it from scratch.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, and that will be like difficult. I will get back to it today and tomorrow, and basically in the next meeting I will have more information.
And by bypassing the policy, do you mean like, does it matter where it actually resolves to, or the symbolic link resolves to?
Yes.
Do you care about that path?
Yeah, because it might be blocked or not. For instance, I have a symlink in a allowed folder, but points to the blocked folder. This file block points to a blocked folder. So if I change that symlink, I will change the blocked folder as well, and that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, but somebody's created like a link there, right? Like, so like, even if the target is in a folder that you eventually have a policy to forbid, really you're saying to allow for it. I feel like there might be, I don't know, there might be a way to like navigate that without having to like incur the cost of,
well,
yeah.
There's already a check on the symlink. If you try to create a symbolic link in node.js, we block it. Like, okay, we are trying to bypass it, it will be blocked. But the problem is that when you create the symlink before running node.js, the symlink is already there. So that's the thing. Maybe I will try to expand it a bit, but in the pull request itself, you can see that so Thomas, I don't know the guy, the name.
I think Darcy might be going along the lines of like, that might be an acceptable known limitation, right? Like if,
yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Exactly my point.
You know, basically if you allow a directory, you need to make sure that anybody who can create symlinks in there is trusted, because there's this known limitation that says, if you've allowed this and somebody creates a symlink to a block directory, you know,
yeah, absolutely,
it's going to allow it, right? And that might be at least might be one option of like how to document it. And
yeah, you want to create like domains for yourself, and so that you don't try to overreach, or you create like a contract that you can support. I feel like it's a bit of an overreach to say like you're going to try to, yeah, especially for something that's happened before you're even going to run Node, like a symlink. Yeah, I don't see resolving symlinks. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the overhead, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, there are two cases. This one that I mentioned that I might want to check for before spinning Node.js, and this will be our overhead. I think we can, I don't know, basically just say in the docs. That makes sense. But there's another bug, as you can see by this comment that we send in the chat. Basically, it can bypass by directly calling Node.js. So for instance, if you call Node.js with experimental permission, you have some read-only paths and write paths. And if you link one to other, you can basically bypass. But I think this is just a bug, you know. I just need to take a look at that. Yeah, well, anyway, I will bring more information in the next meeting anyway. Well, let me see if there's another issue. There is a recursive support to Node.js dependencies. I think this is a remaining thing from Facundo, right? Okay, yeah, basically, let me remember. Yes, this is about dependencies of NPM that might be vulnerable and that affect NPM and then goes to Node.js.
Yeah, or any dependency, right? Like we've had a few pop up which are like we're like, why didn't our scanning find that, right? Because like the goal of the scanning that we have and the checks that we have is to like find things in advance. And it seems like that's not always been the case so far, at least anyway.
Do we still want to pursue with it?
Sorry, say that again.
Do we still want to make it happen?
I think so. Like we want to know if there's a vulnerability that somebody's going to report against Node, right? And we've had cases where somebody comes along and says like, hey, there's a vulnerability in this dependency. And it turns out to be in one of the sub dependencies, right? And so some scanner has found that. And for some reasons, our check against the GitHub vulnerability database and the CV database hasn't said, hey, this is a vulnerability in Node.
I guess what I'll say on that, because I have 3 or almost 4 years of experience with that alongside you, Michael, is that obviously some of those tools I find to be kind of inaccurate a lot of the time, which is kind of tough. And obviously I've worked with you on a few of those for NPM. But yeah, I think that this is kind of relevant, right? Like you do want to know preemptively if there's transitive vulns. That's what you're talking about basically, is transitive.
Exactly. Like we want to know that they're there, and at least we could then say, actually, I think we have that bigger problem we've talked about, like just because there's something in the dependency doesn't mean it really matters, but at least we know about it and we can say, you know, ideally somebody's looked at it and said, not an issue, right?
Yeah,
but like we get it. We've gotten like, I think, a good number of them now, but without the recursive scanning, we've definitely had some. It's either like maybe vulnerabilities aren't being created correctly, but I don't
very
think
true.
Well, okay, yeah, sorry, that's probably true too. But like, I don't think a vulnerability in a dependency is necessarily going to say and that this affects Node or not, right? Like,
yeah. That's my concern too. You know, like one of the things that we raised when discussing it is that how can we evaluate, how can we assess them? And
but I think for our end users, that's like us sticking our head in the sand is not helpful. So the goal, you know, here is to like, let's be proactive and know what's being reported. Because eventually, you know, we get emails from people who say, hey, what about this? Because it's being reported. And like the reason we know it's a problem is because people are opening, like you can see in our repo, we've got a few which are like manually created because the tooling didn't find it. So it's to try and close that gap.
Is the tool that we're using right now, the depth check, is that was that manually done? Or what are we looking, what DB are we looking at? GitHub?
It uses the GitHub vulnerability database, and it says like, tell me things that are reported against Node. No, I think it says, it goes through each of the dependencies and says, tell me things that are reported against NPM, against V8, against, you know, we've got the list of dependencies, and it goes through and does that for all of them, zlib, and
yeah.
It doesn't seem to capture
it checks against the national vulnerability database and the GitHub advisory.
Yeah.
Well, I can see your point, Michael, but well, for me, it's difficult. It's like the same if we don't know about the vulnerability, or if we have an issue but nobody looks to it. It seems the same to me. Like, someone will report it anyway.
But my point is people ask. So I get an email from somebody which is informal. They say, hey, there's this vulnerability in dependency X. And I'm like, well, I don't know. What I'm hoping is we can get to the point where the dependency, we get an automatic report. We know when it's public, not 3 weeks later, whatever, when somebody asks. We can then, you know, ideally ask somebody from the dependency. We've had that work pretty nicely where, say, the ones on zlib, I think we had some people from zlib saying, hey, by the way, you don't even use this method, so it doesn't matter, right? by having the issue open, we have a place to collaborate in a more transparent and open way. People from the dependencies can chime in and help us. If we end up with 100 of them that are open and we have no idea about them, I think that's a problem, but it's better to have it be a visible problem than an ignored problem in my mind anyway. Because my history over the years is that people reach out individually to somebody who they think they know in the project, and it's very ad hoc. And
okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense. I've included to my list too.
What work needs to get done on this though right now? Because I felt like that was running, that depth check. I guess it just needs to be improved. Is that the hope?
Yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't necessarily do it recursively. Right? Like for some reason, people have said, hey, what about this vulnerability? And we look at it and we say, yeah, okay, there's a vulnerability in a package, which is a dependency of NPM, for example, just because we'll take that as an example.
It's,
and our
it's a
tool did
good chunk of them. I apologize.
Not nobody's fault or anything, but like it's got some more dependency. So anyway, we get that and it report and they say, so what about this one? And we're like, why didn't our tool tell us that was existed, right? And I think it's because it doesn't recursively look at the dependencies, and the current database I think it requires that the CVE somehow mention node, right? Like some CVEs are opened that say, this is a issue in package X.
Well,
that's
it
all
would have to walk. It would have to walk the dependency. This is what npm audit does, right? Like, so it essentially walks and finds all the transitive dependencies that with CVs. I don't know many other tools that are doing that. Like Dependabot might be doing that for transitive in some ecosystems. They've just started to do it with npm. So and that requires a lock file. So that's another thing. If like there's no lock file, like there isn't in the npm distribution, it means that you can't even, you can't run npm audit on itself. So you can't even use, that tool to help you walk the transitive dependencies, right? And so it seems like, yeah, and then for each one of the other kinds of depths that Node has, you're going to have to understand how the relationships are for those libraries. Yeah, how they handle like those dependencies. So if it's a Python, depth. Yeah.
For a starting one for the node ones though, like I think for like npm we have a node modules, right?
Sorry, what do you mean
like
by that?
In node itself, we have a node modules directory, right? And so we could scan that directory to say what modules are there and then make a request for each of those modules. Because I think that's what some of the other people are finding it. Like they don't do an npm audit or anything. Basically, the tool says, can I find something in your image? It's here. So is there something
you're doing the same work that the reason why I brought up audit is because you're doing the same work that that audit does, right? So you're having to walk the entire tree of dependencies, right? So it'd just be good if like that tool could,
No, good. Yeah. Okay. Got it. So from the npm modules, is there some way we could generate what audit would need? Like we have the modules in the node version, right?
Yeah, you have to generate a lock file. And then you would get that transitive dependency checking from Dependabot for free, I think. So that's one thing to consider, right? So like you could use npm to generate essentially a lock file at the project level for at least the JavaScript dependencies and node dependencies there in the node modules. And then that would give you a lock file that could be checked in, and then that would be what Dependabot would use to be scanning for the transitive dependencies. And then I guess like another way to say this though is like, if you don't go that path, then whatever tool you're creating is net new, because I don't know actually any other tool other than really npm audit that's doing this kind of thing.
So you said the only thing that's missing is a package lock. Is there some reason we couldn't ship that in Node itself? Like when we pull in Node, we pull in a new version of npm into Node. Could we add could we like somehow add a package lock for those modules? Does that make any sense?
Like use npm on itself.
That's effectively what you're suggesting, right? Is like,
yeah,
npm is one of the dependencies. There'll be other JavaScript dependencies as well, right? But like we end up with a set of node modules. We want to scan that node, that set of node modules for npm or any other JavaScript dependency. Just trying to figure out how do we do that, right? Like,
yeah. Now, where I will caveat everything I just said, be mindful that the resolving logic in npm and all the other package managers differ slightly. And so the lock file that might be generated from npm might be a little bit different than what it would have generated with Yarn, etc. And this is actually a huge problem in our ecosystem right now. So so just be mindful, like
even for the same set of node modules.
So yes, so like when they're on disk and you're not doing an install, that's fine, right? So that's essentially the situation we're probably in, where you're saying like,
right,
as long as the modules are checked in, they're real, then we don't really have a problem. We could probably generate a lock file, no problem. But for example, like Yarn doesn't support bundle dependencies, so like it would have a problem with like seeing a like nested node modules folder there and not trying to like go out and grab a manifest, right? Like, so
right. But in our case, there's nothing dynamic, right? Like in our tarball, we've got a fixed set of things, and it's that fixed set of things we want to check against.
I would say try to like run it and then get the log file and then propose checking it in. Like I think that if you're talking about like a lot of bang for your buck, like that's a very simple thing to do. And then
and then we could effectively run npm audit on it. We'd have to, it would be,
you could even generate a older version of the lock file, by the way. You could generate with npm 6, right? Especially if you want compat with node 14, which is still shipping v6. You could generate a v1 lock file with npm, which would still, that's not a problem. You don't even need to upgrade like the npm really, but
then you could use, like the follow-on would be, based on this discussion, might be like another scan. Like we have the one scan that asks for all the databases, which is good. And I guess you're saying that the follow-on could be like, yeah, okay, and for nodes, JavaScript specific ones, we want to like check out the node binary, generate the package lock for the node modules directory that exists in each of the dependencies, and then run npm audit. And then to be consistent, what we have is like convert the reports. That gives 2 issues in the repo, and it's smart enough already that like if there's one that exists, it won't recreate it. So we, ideally it would do the same thing and say, oh yeah, audit reported it, the other thing reported it, there's no overlap. But if there is not an overlap, then create the issue, right?
But that's just for when evaluating the Node.js Node modules, right? That's not related to the npm transitive dependence, right?
Well, it's just that npm's dependencies are node modules.
They're checked in, like it's basically the entire source is checked in.
Yeah,
all our transitive dependency. We bundle all our. I say we. I'm no longer with npm, but npm bundles all its dependencies. So so you get like a real version. You're not catching latest. It's like you're getting an explicit
so basically all the for instance the transitive dependencies of npm is all of the node modules that we have in the Node.js.
They're real. Like so.
Okay.
Like if you look in depths, we could probably even scan what's checked into depths versus pulling down the binary. Yeah, that would be even easier. Like basically under depths, there's a node modules in npm and probably in some of the others, because we never like if it needs extra dependencies in shipping, then we've got those checked in somewhere. And so it would be basically scanning that somewhere checked in.
Yeah, I mean, this is the quickest way to get what you want, I think, Michael. At least for that part of the ecosystem. Obviously, like we got to talk about all the other types of depths that you'd have to find ways to do something similar. But what I'll say is, like, there's no reason why really a lock file should be required for audit. It's been a constant thing that we've talked about. We've talked about for years. There really shouldn't be a need for you to have require a lock file. So I'll double check to see if other package managers actually don't need one, but my concern would be, obviously you're interested in introducing a different tool, but like it might make sense just to use npm on itself in this case. And
if it's as simple as like copy the node modules file to a directory, tell it to do an npm install or something, run some npm command to generate a lock file.
All you need is a package JSON, right? So like the package JSON would define the dependencies that we know about that are JavaScript related. So npm could be a dependency that's in that package JSON, and then we generate a lock file from that. Right.
Based on the existing node modules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm writing down the issue that, as discussed in today's meeting, we might want to create a second dependence checker just for JavaScript things. So it will goes to the node.js modules inside the dApps and check it, basically perform an npm audit, right, and report it again. But it doesn't solve this issue in particular, like recursive support to Node.js dependence. We still need to have a way to check, let's say, zlib dependence or either other ones, right?
I would agree, although most of the ones that we've had people say, hey, what about this?
Is the npm, right?
Have been JavaScript. So that's I think that would get us a long way towards then. And then we can see, well, wait a sec, where does that happen for other things, and prioritize that next one. Like if it's the Python dependencies are the one that causes the next most highest ones, then we could think about that one. But this one is definitely the one that would close the biggest gap so far.
Yeah, it's like basically like 60 to 70% of all advisory and Fallen reports in the GitHub advisory DB are JavaScript or npm related anyway. So like that's the you make a huge impact if you do something here. So I had one other thing, but I know we're tight for time.
Okay, that's great. That was a very helpful conversation. I didn't know about that. I thought that the npm dependence is totally different from the one that we have on Node modules, but that's great. That's great. That's way easier than I thought.
Do you think you want to introduce your thing in 2 minutes, or?
Yeah, I think it's pretty quick. It's just, I put it down here in the notes and the Q&A and other section. It's just literally, I saw the note by the way from Twitter about asking folks to come to this working group. I'm definitely going to start coming more, so I'm excited to participate and work with y'all on securing Node. And but I want to quickly, as I look through the working group docs, I saw references to NSP, like Node Security Project, which I'm wondering if we should remove those or get that removed somehow. And I'm not sure if that requires like a charter proposal again or something, or maybe changes to the charter, but specifically just like the first bullet point of the charter references the Node Security Project, which I don't think is relevant anymore as it was.
If you wanted to just submit a PR where you've seen that, I think if depending on where it is, like we might need to get the TSC to say, yeah, that's a change in the charter, whatever, but like totally makes sense to remove that. I'm sure we removed some stuff, and that probably just got missed somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll make a PR happen then, and yeah.
That's great.
To see me more often.
Oh,
great.
There's one thing I forgot to mention before. I don't know if you have seen, but I have updated the Node.js secure database. to
Mhm.
be normalized with some by Michael,
By Michael.
with some vulnerabilities, and I create a package that basically just check if you are running a Node.js vulnerable. So
Yep.
well, I'm thinking that it can be applied to some CIs, like if you are trying to send your code to production, and you basically just do a check if you are vulnerable or not, and that's it. Yeah, the ASCII output is awesome. Just remaining thing is that I want to check it based on environment. So for instance, if we perform a security release and all the vulnerability affects only Windows, I don't want to say that I'm danger using Linux, you know. So this is a remaining thing, but we still need to update our way to publish the vulnerability to the repository, just to say, okay, this affect Windows, this affect macOS, or anyway, and that's all. But I think that might be useful, you know.
Yeah, that's good. You should do a PR to include that on the best practices document, I think.
I don't
Maybe
know.
that can be a good addition.
Yeah, I would wait just a bit, just to make sure that people were we don't have bugs on that.
Well, when become a stable 1.0 version, then we can just start
it's already
suggesting.
1.0.
Okay.
That's why 2.0.
Okay.
Is that information in the database right now? Like the OS?
Yes.
Okay.
It is well, every time that we perform a Node.js security release, we store it right here. Let me see. We store it here. I send the chat, and well, it was not normalized. It was not like a thing. So I have updated, make sure that it is working now. So basically, the script just collect all the results and perform a check on the CVEs.
Okay. I'm just looking at a couple of references, and I see like the vulnerable versions, the patch versions, the refs, the CVE explicitly.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to find an example of where like the platform specific data.
Yeah, there is not. As I said, we need to go to the CVE manually and then update the list. That would be the problem. But I think that we can do it just for the active release line. So we have just a few items to check. For the previous one, we don't want, because that's end of life.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's super valuable too. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help if you need help with that, Rafael.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, folks. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you, Darcy.